New camera, new mics, let's hope they work properly, but most importantly, new car to the channel, CJ Chrysler by Chrysler. I'm not even going to waste your time by doing a spot the difference. Got the list here to get a quick check on what's wrong with the old girl. We've got the cherries and the pain and misery. We're going to start with the pain and misery, so that way if I get sick of that, I can duck into the cherries to get a bit of focus back. There's nothing else left to do. Let's get into it. Okay, so first up on the pain and misery, that there manifold. It's got a broken stud. I haven't actually seen how bad it's broken. Hopefully it's a little bit protruding from the block. That'll make it a little bit easier. The history on this car, not going to go into it yet, I'm not ready. That'll come in a later episode, but for this one, let's just get it going. So as I said, Chrysler by Chrysler. 1975 CJ variant. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is Chrysler Australia's, why is this so difficult? Chrysler Australia's attempt to take on the more luxury market of the GM and Ford options over here. They are the Holden Statesman and the Ford Fairmont. So it's a little bit more ritzy than anything else that Chrysler was putting out over here at the time. I'm going to shut up and keep taking these studs out. So you're going to notice that a few of the items that are going on here aren't the most expensive. I don't care. I didn't buy them, and this is how I received the car. There's reasons I don't care, and once again, we'll go into that later. But it's got a few issues, and I'll be proud to get it on the road. Oh gosh. All right. So let's pray for, no we don't. So we've got nothing protruding there at all. It is worst case scenario, snapped within the block. And that's going to pull me up for today. I was hoping there was going to be enough room to weld a nut onto the stud. All right, just jumping into this when I finish work in the afternoons. Can't even remember where I was up to. But the plan is right angle drill. Haven't got enough room to get a normal drill in there. Drill this stud. Then we'll use an extractor to remove the stud. This is the extractor type that I'm going to use. I did have another option, but I thought I'd give this one here a go first. Failing this, it'll be drilling it out and probably using a helicoil. Not the best way, but you got to do what you got to do to keep things moving forward. So let's drill. Ideally, you'd also use a center punch to line up in where this stud's broken. Cannot find where any of my center punches are, so I'm going to be doing it the dodgy way, hoping I don't live to regret it. Loud noise. And that is about as bad as it can get. That drill bit just snapped off inside there. Okay, holes drilled. Number 3 extractor. Time to apply some heat. See if we can twist that bugger out. Alright, so that manifold stud, well, it nearly beat me. but I got there in the end. Another afternoon, another task. So as you just saw, going to attack this power steering. Now, I'm all but certain the previous owner did get it rebuilt. It's sort of hard to see down in there, but got a couple of red caps on the inlet and outlet side of that steering pump. Let's have a look and see what we've got. Got this hose here, which is threaded. I'm going to say that's the inlet. And there is another hose down here. It's broken off and far too short to get up in there, which will be the return line. So, pretty sure that I saw some stuff in the boot. Some hose and a bag of clamps. Going to assume that is the materials to get this one here sorted. So let's go and take a gander in the boot, see what we can find. Right. Bag. There we go. As you can see, there's a few bits and pieces in here, so I'll probably be returning to the boot quite a bit. Previous owner was stitching it all together and getting it ready to get back on the road, but just never got around to it. As you can see, it's pretty damn tight in there, and there is no reasonable way that I can record this and have you guys seen what I'm doing. It's pretty much nothing anyway. A couple fittings and hose clamps, so I'll get that done and check back in. So, I've been working in the dark, late in the afternoons, and just sort of trying to stitch work together as I could, making too many mistakes because I was rushing and not really thinking about the task that I was doing. Case in point, this power steering line here, ran it too close to the block hugger headers that need to also be installed, but aren't there right now. So I stopped, reassessed, come back and thought, let's just do it when we've got some daylight. So here we go, back into it, working on the CJ Chrysler in the daylight. So not only was it costing me time, but also costing me money, having to buy extra fittings because I've cut the hose too short and doing silly things like that. That's not what you want on a project, because they already cost enough as it is to get to the point where they're running and driving, let alone any other mechanical or body repairs that may need to happen. So don't do what I do. Learn from my mistakes. All right, so we're back in action. New hose fitted down onto the power steering pump. This is the return line. This one here, that's the supply. Make sure I got enough slack this time. So this was the void that I originally had it coming through. Now we're running it around, and if I'd have actually paid attention and ran the supply line first, I'd have realised there's a bracket right here, but I didn't. So here we are. Stupid is, stupid does. Just going to cut this line here to length. If you're looking for something to cut a hose and that clean and easily, these here are electrical conduit cutters or pipe cutters. They work a treat. Nice clean cut, easy done. Okie dokie, fuel pump time. Right down in there when you're doing this stuff, you need to try and have a think about it and make sure you're doing it in the right order, because you don't want to be having to pull stuff apart. So back to the boat. The thing I like about this boat is it's not just full of old, busted, broken stuff. So you'd hope anything that wasn't worth keeping has been thrown out. There we go, just took a bit. That looks like a fuel pump stem or actuating lever. Let's bring this over here. Excellent, there we go. Doesn't even look old. So the worst part about doing this sort of stuff is when you weren't the person that pulled it apart, you don't know where anything is or was or should be. So the bolts here could be interesting. I think I found them. I'll show you them shortly. It's going to tidy up and remove this gasket. Always make sure you remove a gasket and you're not putting a gasket on top of a gasket. It's going to use this here scraper. Shove that rag in there to stop anything from getting in the way. So this is where I found the bolts sitting. Just here, covered in cobwebs. They've been there for a while. Test tried that one to make sure it was fitting and the correct type. So that was lucky. Lucky they didn't fall out and go anywhere else. Now this is slightly oversized, but can only do what you can do with the gear you got, and this is all I got at the moment, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it clamps down tight enough. And all these hoses are just old and brittle. For the first start, going to use this old filter as well. Go from there. Probably look to replace it shortly after. Just want to make sure I get any crap out of the system and not block up a new filter straight away. So you can see why people complain about the clearances on these with exhausts and headers. Like, look how tight that is compared to this side. Fingers for comparison. Boom, nothing. And of course, pretty sure these here are a American platform, so what they've got is clearance for steering column and that on this side, but then when you go right-hand drive in Australia, well, you're left for this cluster. Plenty of room for them normally to drop the headers or exhaust or manifold, whatever they're doing, down where that power steering pump is here. Just a good old void on this side. You can certainly understand the frustration, and soon it will be mine. But anyway, header time. I think we need to get these headers in here before we work on the alternator. So pretty much working from the bottom up. Get all these exhaust studs out of the way, because I reckon we will need every last millimetre of space to make this work. Might as well put these where that bunch of fuel bolts, fuel pump bolts were stashed. Tongue-tied and twisted. I think we'll tidy those mounting surfaces up first before we get too deep into this, as best we can anyway. Something I am liking, I don't know how well it'll show up on the camera, you probably can't really see, but none of these exhaust ports are oily, they're just carbonised. Plenty of carbon, so fingers crossed she's not an oil burner. Shining out of the packet, set of block huggers, I'd call them. These are just a cheap set, off eBay I believe. He was doing it on a budget, just wanted to get in and enjoy it. I was actually looking to use it as a daily driver. It's the previous owner's original plan. Just didn't work out. I knew this was going to be a headache. Gonna have to start running the Benny Hill music, I think. This is going to be a headache. I bet this is one of those scenarios that if you know, you know, and you're screaming at me through the TV how to get these in there. Might have to come up from underneath even. No, that's not going to happen. That was stupid. Probably going to have to pull these valve covers off. A couple more tries struggling first, then we'll do that. Valve covers are coming off. Well, this side anyway, the other side will be easy. We've already had it all seen it on there anyway. Them's the brakes. Probably still won't help. Well, I guess the good thing about pulling this cover off is I'll have a bit of a sense check for what's going on under here. Not expecting anything sinister. Previous owner did have it running at a point. Just a bit of a hit. I've heard people complain in the past about Chryslers being hard and tight to work on and that sort of thing, and I'm starting to understand where they're coming from. Time has come. I love how that's just all loose. PCV valve. Cabling all integrated into the rocker covers. Excellent. All right. Wish me luck. Wish me enough room. Probably more to the point. Even that's just tight to get out of there. That is crazy, Chrysler. What are you doing to us? Not sure that's going to even have freed up enough space, but hopefully you can see on there. Let's just bring in. Plenty of oil in the top end from when it was last ran. Pretty gunky and grungy up there though too, so although it's positive, still a bit how you going. Anywho, let's see if we can get these in now. Comment down below if you're yelling at me on how to actually do this. I think I'm going to need to remove this bracket here for the alternator. Can't see any other way around it. Go and get some equipment for that. Okay, got the alternator bracket tilted up out of the way here. Let's have another go. All right, we'll remove it completely. Oh, I was a little bit worried about that bolt. It goes through the water pump. And I do not want that to break. You know what? It's got another set of headers in the boot. I'm going to go and get them, see if they're a different shape. Maybe they'll fit easier. These ones, they get in easier, but they're clearly designed for an American car when you don't have a steering box right here in your way, stopping you from getting them down. Bugger. Okie dokie, moving along. Starter motor. It's got a problem, doesn't fit properly. This is an aftermarket one that again the person before me has installed, but right down in here it doesn't sit flush with the mounting surface, so it needs to come out. Have a bit of look and see what's going on. Thought that was a bolt. Actually a nut. Oh well, there's something down there. Feels like a bit of tin or something like that. It's blocking getting it out. Bracket under there for what looks like transmission line, fouling it up. That's what was going on. So I don't know. This doesn't even have a model number on it. Most likely a Chinese copy of some sort, but I'm pretty sure I've seen the original in the boot. I'm gonna go and grab that. Have a look at stabbing it in. So you can see it was fouling there. That's the point that was stopping it. Yep, so memory served me well. 360 Chrysler and it says it's okay. So we'll drop this in. So there's a real habit of just leaving bolts where they lay. Couldn't find the top bolt in the boot, but did find it in the battery tray. So at least it wasn't thrown out. The more I work on cars, I really start to understand that sentiment of people hating engineers. Sometimes you just have to think, did they do this to make it hard? In. Let's hope that does not wail like a dolphin. I'm going to guess now. Then consult the, what have I got? I think I've got a Max Ellery's manual for this. Just going to guess with the way that these cables are sitting that green goes on top, brown goes on the bottom. On to the next one. Okay, so I have ummed and ahed on these for way too long. Let's go back to the boot. I'm pretty sure that the original manifolds are in there and we proceed with them with the intent to come back and do these. I had thought about and started to take the engine mounts off, but so I could jack this side of the block up and get some room there, but where I am right now isn't conducive to easily doing that, so let's make it easier for now and do it properly later. Let's go to the boot. There we go. Solution, let's do it. You watch. These will just slip straight in, no problem at all. Hours of stuffing around. Okay, maybe not straight in. Yeah, way better. All right, should have just done this about 2 hours ago. Thankfully they've kept the factory equipment here so we can put this together. And off we come again to run a die down that stud. This car is just fighting with this manifold anyway. I'm hoping I can just hand thread this die down it just to clear up whatever's going on. So basically this stud is that galled up, essentially cleaning it out and retapping it or rethreading it. All right, back on track. Let's have another go. Got a licorice all sorts here, 10mm and 1/2 inch. It's gonna go through and button it up. I'm not worrying about torquing it or anything like that at this point. These are only gonna be temporary, so just want to get them on here to make it easy to move. Take it to its new home. Yay. Temp install done. Don't shoot me down in the comments section because I didn't torque them and it's just a wee bit rough. I didn't follow a sequence. Just want to get it moving and out of its graveyard here. All right, passenger side. And this one wasn't without its drama either, so hoping smooth sailing from here. So initially, we had to get that broken stud out, tap that. That was a saga. And then this stud on the far end here, closest to the cab, well, it was busted to a degree. Needed to retap the thread on it, just like we did the other side. Interestingly enough though, that was a different thread to the one on the driver's side. Likes to keep you guessing, this old rocket. We're going to find out how well my tapping job and that went too. Gosh, I hope it just all works. Nothing too crazy. So much more room on this side. This is amazing. Starting to get a solid understanding as to why people hate working on Mopar stuff. All just seems so cramped and not a great deal of space. Half the battle when working on cars and that is just being set up and having the gear and being ready to go. Just makes it a lot easier. I've had a lot of stop starting on this and that's purely by design of my workshop. And the fact that I don't really have one. I've got a shed that's absolutely full of stuff. Where the Monaro is, or the HXLE coupe. But I don't just have a clean area where you can work, and you know, full credit to the people who just keep belting stuff out in their yard. Or on dirt floor, stuff like this. This level, this ground here is so unlevel and bloody awkward to work on. It makes it near impossible to jack anything up as well because the soil's so soft here. So your stands and that just sink straight into it. So absolute credit to any of you at home just working in the yard. All right, so that is all temporary. As I mentioned, this This is just to get it sorted so that way I can move it from the location that it's in to a better spot to work on it. And I need this space here for something else, which will be later on the channel. It's kind of exciting news, actually. Well, that's been about 5 hours to get those two manifolds on. Oh, a little bit of learning, a little bit of mistake, a little bit of error, but we got there. Moving back onto the tasks that we'd already completed and put that other side back together with the alternator bracket, fuel pump, and go for the alternator. I forgot to mention too, like to bang a bit of grease on your actuator arm. Well, I saved you the trip down to the boot this time because I'd seen the alternator there, so there was no discovery about it. All right, alternator. The beauty about the people that pulled this apart is they weren't like the common folk who just lose all the bits and pieces and the fasteners and everything. If they've taken it off, it's pretty much landed in the boot. If it was a fastener or a fixture, went in a tray that was in the boot. Doesn't really get much better than that when you're in the stages of putting something back together. So, speaking of putting things back together, let's get the alternator in. So we've got a bit of a problem here. Don't know how well you're going to be able to see if I can get you down in there, but oh, this hole isn't lining up with this bracket. So I'm going to have a bit of a play and come back to you. Well, that turned out to be pretty easy actually. Just loosened off this bracket here. That gave enough flex in, well, the region, I guess, between the alternator bracket and the swing arm bracket for the alternator, the tensioning bracket, I guess you'd call it. That gave enough flex and movability to be able to join that up, so easy done. Alternator's in, wired up. Didn't find any need to be showing you that, pretty basic. Not much left now. Plug leads, get them sorted out. Gonna leave that rocker cover off. Do a few non-live ignition system cranks, see if we can get any oil pressure up. I'm pretty confident it's going to. As you can see, there's oil sitting in those rockers, so that's a really good sign. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting close to cranking this over. I do apologise. This upload will probably be a bit stop-starty, and that's because it's taken multiple days, but we're on the firing order, which is all but the last step to getting this going. I'm confident it's going to start. I've heard it start. I've heard it run, probably 5 years ago, which would have been the last time. Do not like how that the ignition box over there is leaking cancerous substances, but we'll see how we go. 2 spark plugs back in, firing order. Well, I'm pretty sure these are the same as Chev, which I think is 18436572, but I'll confirm that. Which, yep, 18436572. Let's get into it. These are the plugs I pulled out. So, they're not too bad. A little bit crusty, but not covered in oil. And by looking at this, we need a new gasket. Fingers crossed. There's one of them in the car too. Pretty well everything I've needed has been in the car. Like, it was being worked on, ready to get going. It just never happened. But more on that in a future episode. I just don't really want to discuss it yet. I've checked the wiring for the for the starter motor. I'll just run you through what I did there. So I've got the manual. So you're ready to go. What I needed to do was confirm which cables had to go where? Here on the terminals for the starter motor. So I found resistance on this top terminal here with the brown cable, and that'd be tracking resistance back through your neutral. So then that told me that what's actually pink in the car, not black, is your ballast resistor return, because it only gets power for a period of time when this plunger or the solenoid actually energizes. So in case you're wondering, that's how you work that out, or that's how you work it out for this scenario where it's a 3-wire starter motor, because we've got that ballast resistor in place. So where are we up to? Battery. In here. I think we're pretty well ready to have a crank on this and see what happens. I'll give it a hand rotation to make sure we are free and clear. I'm all but certain that that'll be good. Let's do that. All right, so can confirm we are rotating pretty easily. Still a good amount of resistance there, so hopefully it's just a dirty, good runner. Let's get the battery in. Might get a bottle so I can catch the first lot of fuel that sort of comes through as we're cranking. We'll crank it with no power going to the ignition system. We'll disconnect the distributor so that we're not firing anything. After that, we'll go for a live hit to get this old girl kicking over. I'll just throw this, take the clamp off as well. Fuel line into a bottle. Pretty standard procedure that everyone does, just to make sure that any gunk that might come out of the tank is caught. Just got to be mindful, these headers are right there. Didn't really give myself much length on that. That's sorted. New battery in. Let's fill the bowls up. Looks like a little Holly 350 by the looks. I've got a 350 in another car, so that's why I'm just guessing it's a 350. Looks the same. A bit of juice in there. Wonder whether the squirters will work. Yep, they've just primed up. Okay, so final sense check before I actually go cranking this. Got the fuels disconnected. Thought I'll catch anything dirty that's coming through. I've installed the battery. Didn't think you needed to watch me do that. Make sure that's the PCV valve out of the rocker cover. Make sure it's clear from that valve train. I'm not going to get caught up on anything. Let's disconnect the coil. So that we don't have any potential starting. I just want to crank it to begin with. Ooh, these are always fun to get off when they've been on there for a while. There we go. Stick that within itself. Oil. Let's have a look. Power steering is empty. I have had a look before now, but I just want to, like I said, sense check myself. Got oil, all colours of brown. Got fuel in there, squirters are working. We'll look at the transmission later. Let's just see if we can get this thing to crank over. 1975 Chrysler CJ with a 360. First time cranking over in 5+ years. What could possibly go wrong? Did do a sense check when I hooked the battery up. Didn't spark at all. which was pleasing. No idea what to expect inside. Key's in the ignition. There's not really much happening in here, but oil lights on the dash now. Then we're onto accessories. We are in park. Oh God, I'm nervous. All right, going for a crank. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, that is pleasing. I can't see whether that pumped any fuel. Tell me, did that pump any fuel? Nothing yet. Sounds like it's got a little bit of a gallop to it. I might just keep cranking on that for a bit, see if we can bring any fuel up from the tank. But that is relieving. Has been sitting for a long time, so it could be empty. All right, how good's that? Now that we know it cranks, I think it's time to go for a live hit. Put that ignition coil back on. A few hits, get some squirter action going, send some fuel into the carby and see how we go. I find this nerve-wracking every time. Got a bit of a leak here from the carby. Little diaphragm pump. Actually, I might even just throw a bit in there like that. I put a bit of board down underneath this as well, so that way we're not going to be blowing dust and crap everywhere, because those manifolds are just shooting straight down. All right, here we go. Wish me luck. Oh yes, I can't see a thing as to what's going on, but that looked positive. I really need to get set up with a trigger so I can do this from outside, but let's give that some more. Probably going to be loud as hell too. But anyway, here we go. Got the oil light off now, so it's building up a bit of pressure. I'm a little bit snookered because I'm jammed right in and I can't really get in the car easily. To then jump out and run it by hand. Bloody fuel leaking from everywhere here. All right, I think I need to throw some fuel in the tank. See if we can bring anything up. Listen to this. Bone dry. I do like how we've got the same setup as the Monaro with the number plate fuel tank. All right, well, that's about 10 to 15 litres. We'll just prime this pump a little bit. Back feeding a bit in there. I probably shouldn't have just put all of that in the tank, because now I've got none spare to play with here. So that was a bit silly when you think about it. Got fuel on the gauge now anyway, although it says full. Very good, I could see fuel was pumping. Oh, we are getting there. One step at a time. Hook that fuel system back up. All right, we're gonna be leaking fuel everywhere here, but Anywho, is what it is. If we can get it to idle for a second under its own steam, we'll add some water. This is what all the big YouTubers do, isn't it? Just tap on it and then it works. Almost thought we had it going in that last run there, but no luck. Better get rid of that now. Could have swore I saw fuel pumping before. Anyway, I'm going to get this cover back on because we're blowing a bit of crap around, so I'll get that on and reconvene after. Okay, figure now that we know it runs, let's put a bit of water in it. It's pretty dry in there. Just going straight water, not going to be bothering with coolant at this point. Just going to need a good flush. Oh yeah, awesome. The bung's taken out of it. Can honestly say I didn't see that one coming. Just coming straight out of the bung, where there is no bung. Got a few old radiators kicking around. This one's got a bung in it, so fingers crossed it's the right size. Here's to hoping. Okie dokie. New bung in place. Proceed to fill with water. Don't you love how these old cars, you know, you're always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. All right, we can't seem to get fuel pumping again, so just disconnected it from the carby, just in case there's something going on there. Alright, and as you can see, fuel pump's definitely working, so we must have a stuck needle and seat in there and it's just not being able to push fuel past that filter. Yep. I wonder if it's just the filter's plugged somehow. Let's see. No, it's the filter. I don't know if you can see or not, but she's got stuff in there. I reckon it's just that situation where when fuel dries up, it leaves that crud, for lack of a better term. And I think as it's dried out in that bowl of the filter, it's just plugged that up essentially. I comfortably feel like we've made it. This is going to be the one where we just keep running. Famous last words. Here we go. Definitely pumping fuel. That float is not shutting off at all. All right, I'm going to replace that filter out. I think I've got a new one here somewhere. I just need to go and find it because it is leaking. All right, new filter in. A few love taps on the carb. We're hoping to loosen that float up. Let's see what happens this time. Nah, still spewing out. Well, you know what they say, there's no time like the present. So I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. Pray the car gods are kind to me. And not tear that gasket, because if that gasket tears, that's me done for a week. I won't get the parts. With the time available to repair it, so... Oh, gee, that's loose. That's promising. Maybe it's already been apart at some point. But then again, is that bad because... Oh my gosh, they are very loose. Is that bad because... Does that mean there's a problem? Stuck. I'm going to use my trusty little blade here just to try and separate this top. All right, it's loose. Gently as gently does. Please be kind. Oh, I think we're good. I'm not terrible anyway. It's not filthy inside there. Float moves okay, but you can see that needle is sort of jammed. It's not dropping down with it either. So I'm guessing it's a little bit stuck. All right, let's have a look at this. As a kid, your parents would always say, don't put things in your mouth if you don't know where they've been. But anyway, here we are, going to demonstrate. Going to blow on the inlet side of this. Don't know if you can hear that, but there's no change, up or down. So, time to clean this out and see what we've got. All right, so what I found was this O-ring was absolutely flat. It seemed like it's passing around it. I could get the actual needle to lock it up when blowing on it just directly through without this O-ring inside that bore. So pretty sure that was the problem. Let's put a bit of grease on it so that way it goes in well. Again, things where they shouldn't be. Seems like that's worked. All right, put this back together and see how we go. I'll have to adjust. Alright, also tightened up that diaphragm pump too. Alright, fingers crossed for the final, let's just get it running attempt. There we go, running and idling. It's all working well. I can feel a bit of water flicking around. I'm hoping it's just some stuff that I've spilled. That's probably really loud through the microphone. It's certainly loud here. Had no gaskets. for where these screws go, so might just have to RTV the end of them or something. The ones that are leaking anyway. All that fuel leaking under here, gone, tighten that all up. We'll just let it run and chill on that for a bit, get warm, and yeah, then we'll see if we can move it. Sounds like it's got a bit of a miss at times, so just going to go through and check the rough temps. That one at the back there. Certainly a bit cooler than the others. Starting to burn off all the oil and crap. Everything's getting nice and hot. Alright, so we've worked out that yes, it will run, but will it drive? Oil light goes out nice and quick. Brakes, haven't touched them. Don't know about them. That's in reverse. Wants to. It's in its bit of a graveyard. There was talk that the gearbox had dramas, so that could very well be true. Alright, let's have a look at the transmission oil. I'm pretty sure I checked it earlier and it wasn't too bad, but anyway, I love how they got it right down next to the manifold. Everything's hot. You're meant to check it when it's hot. What do we got? Definitely oil on it. Just below the full. I'm going to drop a little bit more in it. Can't hurt. Probably melt the damn funnel trying to do it. I don't even know if I can get this in there. Well, if that funnel ain't going to reach, I don't know that I'm going to have one that will. No, a couple inches short. So there's been a length of garden hose sitting here somewhere. I think I found out what it was for. Because this funnel came from the same place that this car came from. All of this, yep, straight in, right length. Well, there we go, that's what that was for. All of this is telling me this transmission is no good. All right, so I dropped about 500 mil in there. Now we're above the fall line. So I swear Chrysler is just messing with everyone who likes these things. Chrysler nerds, was it meant to have that little bent section on the end of that dipstick? Let me know in the comments. All right, let's go again. It does start up and run pretty well. So that's promising. Right, there's just not positive engagement. Like it wants to move, but just doesn't have the ability. Well, I apologise, Mr. Chrysler. That time it's just that we were spinning. So maybe there is a little bit of hope here. I'll clear that out with a shovel and see how we go. I've cleaned out some ramps, made some space. Fingers crossing, I'm not convinced on this gearbox. Doesn't really seem to go into gear properly, but anyway, here we go. Yep, we're moving. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Alright, rock your move. Right, let's go. Alright, we're out. 100% we're out. Yes. There is that, I can't see a thing. This thing is filthy. Oh, no brakes. Gearbox's brakes. Oh, haven't got power steering fluid in it. I should sort that out. Oh, that's just part one. This gets it out of there where it's so hard to work on. How good's that? So good. Well, there we have it. Will this 1975 CJ Chrysler by Chrysler run? Yes. Will it drive? Yes. But with some problems. That's all right though. We'll go to them as time goes and get this thing back on the road. I think I said earlier that it hadn't been on the road for 5 years, but I meant it actually hadn't run for 5 years. So it's probably been off the road for a hell of a lot longer than that. And it's going to take some work. That'll come up in the next episode on this car. Won't actually be this car for the next episode, but I had planned on doing a bit of a makeover, give it a wash and a detail to wind this one up. But it is bitterly cold and snowing in places that it shouldn't be snowing, and I don't want to get wet. So I think the next one, clean up, sort out some of the other issues that we got remaining, take it for a drive. Thanks for watching.